Because you roll a ball and you get bigger. Ha! You get it? Oh, see you next week. The Katamari series is an odd and somewhat sad case. The original Katamari Damacy was made to be a game nearly impossible to make a sequel for. Full of original spirit, designed to be as accessible as a children's book but fun for all ages, and made as a celebration of music and gaming alike to create a feeling of unparalleled joy. Creator Kaita Takahashi designed the game around its mood, to break away from the feeling of the hits of the day and just put some silly fun back into the industry. Namco proceeded to make 8 sequels to Katamari Damacy within 5 years, with Takahashi only working on the first of these, We Love Katamari, before leaving the series forever. Despite the series itself becoming larger, major gameplay innovations were left by the wayside for new Katamari releases, with most of the titles just existing as, hey, there's a new console that doesn't have Katamari on it. Let's put Katamari on it. Stagnation set in, the releases slowed, and the Katamari stopped rolling. It's a bit tragic, a creative spark of a series left to fade. But the true tragedy is that the final console release, Katamari Forever, was just starting to rekindle that spark, and finally show growth in a series all about it. Make-A-Star 9, Energy, seems pretty unassuming. The robot version of the King of All Cosmos, who is named Robo King and is a good boy, please protect him, talks about his crippling anxiety, asks you to pick up objects that create energy, and gives you 9 minutes to roll up a Katamari that is 800 meters large? The previous level, for context, had you roll up a Katamari that was 3 meters large within 8 minutes, and this level starts you at a pitifully small 50 centimeters. So the initial shock of your very tight goal of multiply 1600 times in size might seem pretty overwhelming. And more than likely, it will be overwhelming. The play area for Make-A-Star 9 is absolutely massive to constitute the huge size you have to make the Katamari. There are more moving parts to this level than any other, threatening to knock your Katamari off course and shrink it down. Buildings tend to grow wide rather than tall in places, making judging whether you can roll them up difficult until you've already wasted time bumping into them. But it's all exhilarating as you begin to try out different strategies. The player has never gone to grow this big before, this being their first major opportunity in the game to roll up entire buildings in one swoop. Areas are laid out where fences are plentiful, which bulk up the Katamari in a hurry as each individual segment adds to it. And most importantly, the way that the level is segmented encourages both exploration and a thrill of discovery. The level is divided into 4 major sections: a beginning area, an area accessed after growing to 3 meters, then another when the player grows to 12 meters, and finally the entire world opening up when the player reaches 60 meters. While a player can still roll around areas they've been before, going to the new areas allows for a more rapid growth. With each attempt, the player can figure out which areas in each section work best for their Katamari at each size, slowly growing in skill as their Katamari slowly grows larger. This segmentation is used in other Katamari levels to great effect though, so what makes Make-A-Star 9 so special? Well, it's how the level is divided and what it accomplishes that sets it apart. Each barricade that the player overcomes creates new destinations to roll their Katamari toward, rather than another city area, or a bigger town, or outside of this house. The player is tasked with rolling up a golf course, or a racetrack, or an airport. Eventually this expands further to a Disneyland parody, or Himalayan mountains, or New York City, until finally the player is taking a multicultural tour around the world. The Sphinx of Giza, the Great Wall of China, the Titanic, the Kremlin, Jurassic Park. All things for the player to see, go, oh my god, I want to roll that up, and then go for it. And the game is built in a way that lets them. The Disneyland area is full of small crowds for the player to roll up, so they can then move on to buildings and then circus tents, until finally they can pluck fireworks from the sky at their huge size. The Great Wall of China is the first world wonder that the player encounters, and is segmented so the player can pick up its individual pieces quickly, letting them bulk up the Katamari rapidly so they can pick up the other worldly novelties. Atop a volcano in the center of the prehistoric world is a broken heart, which draws all nearby rollable objects into the Katamari, making expansion to dinosaur size a breeze. Other levels in the Katamari series have had massive growth to the point of rolling up the world, Make the Moon from the first game being the most famous example, but none have done so with such elegance, such novelty, and such a need for the player to be at their best and to improve with each run. However, I think that the strongest aspect of this level is its choice of music, which reinforces the lessons of growth and is able to tell a story that could only be shared in a sequel to Katamari Damacy. Lonely Rolling Star is a track from the first Katamari game, performed by Saki Kabata. The song is a highly cheerful, soothing melody, hiding a melancholic and tragic undertone. It tells of the singer being left alone by a friend, finding loneliness from being left behind, but still wanting to encourage them to keep moving forward. It is in someone you love's nature to roll around, but you will always cherish them. Being together is absolutely necessary, but you are painting an important dream. Until you're done, I'll be waiting here always. These warmly embraced feelings dance in the night sky, and rapidly plummet and arrive at your feet. Your lonely rolling star, don't stand in one place, okay? Your lonely rolling star, remember me, okay? Your lonely rolling star, I can't wait for you, okay? Your lonely rolling star, so face forward and let's go. Kabata-san's close friend, Shimizu Kazuhiko, died in a traffic accident in January of 2004. Kabata-san would release no songs for the first 7 months of that year, except for Lonely Rolling Star. The lyrics were not written for Kabata specifically, the piece composed without a singer before she joined on to the project, but the song was specifically chosen to fit her, and it's hard not to imagine her emotion pouring out into this song. Katamari Forever features Lonely Rolling No More in Make a Star 9. The song features new singers, Natsuko and Yusama, who I cannot find any pictures of or information on, so if you happen to know, please do leave a comment, as I would love to hear their other works. Together, the man and woman sing, having found unity through their ability to roll forward together. The Katamaris that are their personal experiences have crossed with one another and grown into something larger, creating a permanent bond. Chatting, piling up again, in the rolling of this entangled Katamari, there's a certain harmony. That's why being together is definitely fate. We're painting our precious future. This time always, yes, right here. You've got lovely rolling star. I've got lovely rolling star. We've got lovely rolling star. Let's look forward and start walking. Katamari has done bigger levels than this. Katamari has done more difficult levels than this. Katamari has better songs than this. But none of them work so well in tandem to show a feeling of something greater for both the player and the series as a whole. Just as the developers were able to make a level to expand on the concepts in Katamari Damacy, so too do the Lonely Rolling lovers have their experiences roll into another. Discovery becomes encouragement. being overwhelmed becomes being determined, and the melancholy of being left alone becomes a joy in figuring out how to reunite your feelings. Always encouraging to move forward. The level has further challenges, trying to get objects that generate energy in order to try to form a perfect score, making the stage one of the more difficult in the entire series to do perfectly. Cousins are strewn about for the player to find, available only when the Katamari is at specific heights before they shrink away, too tiny to notice, so the player explores every inch at every size. But no matter what the player does, as long as they keep rolling forward, they keep growing, and I think that's a beautiful thing. If you haven't picked up a Katamari game, Katamari Reroll released for the Nintendo Switch on the same day that Super Smash Bros. Ultimate came out, and I highly encourage you to get in. It's an experience of joy worth any price. Until then, I'll just roll off, smiling, knowing that Make-A-Star 9 showed how to design for growth.